Gary. I'm producer of Daniel Davis Deep Dive. Two wonderful things happened this week that I wanted to alert you about. One of them I think you know about, which is that we hit 100,000 subscribers. And you can't tell you how much that means to Danny and I. Danny had previously even tried a couple of times on his own to start a channel over the years and never really kicked into gear for different reasons. But we started this about a year ago, and you guys have been so wonderful and loyal, and just means a lot to us that you guys come here regularly to get the truth from Danny. And that is what he's committed to and devoted to, is to bring you what he understands to be the truth of all that's going on, because I don't have to explain to you how much misinformation is out there and confusing situations that it's hard to make sense out of. And I think Danny levels with you, and you can tell that he tries to get to the bottom of what he can and tells you when he doesn't know what the bottom of something is. Another wonderful thing happened. We had a guest on, a friend of the show, Scott Horton. Out of nowhere, Scott felt a need to explain to you guys, because some of you don't know what Danny's background is and who he is as a person. And Scott so wonderfully, serendipitously went into an explanation of, because he's known Danny for many years, of what he knows of Danny and then Danny's background. And I thought it was important that we put that out, or that I put it out, really. Danny doesn't even know I'm doing this. So I wanted you to hear from somebody else who Danny is.
What can the U.S. do to prevent this from escalating further?
Oh my God, I got bad news for you. Joe Biden is the president of the United States of America right now. And he
from the side of a road somewhere in Texas. Anyway,
he's not going to do a thing right here. But if he was to do the right thing, what it would be to pull the e-brake as hard as he can, get on the phone with America's sock puppet dictator in Egypt, General Fattah al-Sisi, and get on the phone to Recep Erdogan in Turkey, and have them intervene in peace talks. So
okay, that's enough on that. But it was just really interesting. I did not expect you to show up on the side of the road in Texas.
It was a solar eclipse. So me and the fam drove down to San Antonio to watch the sun get blocked out by the moon. It was really great. But
yeah, that was good. Man, that was good advice you gave to them. If they had done that just a couple of weeks in, man, it could have changed the whole outcome of that war. And just think of how many thousands, tens of thousands of people would still be alive today. And well, they didn't do it, but you were right back then. And by the way, as we're going to see in this book, you're right here. But
wait, before that, you brought up new viewers and listeners who aren't familiar with me. Then I think there's a real good chance, because I know how humble you are, that they never got a chance to hear me say that. Don't you guys know that Daniel L. Davis, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis, is the great hero of the Afghan war? And that just like Matthew Ho tried to warn Barack Obama not to do the escalation, the giant surge escalation in 2009, Danny Davis is the heroic whistleblower who came out in 2012 and said David Petraeus is a liar. The surge failed. It made everything worse, and we got to get out now because we cannot win. And I promise you now, just as he told me on the show then, this war is a fool's errand. There's nothing we could do. I asked Danny Davis, I said, yeah, but what if I gave you an extra 500,000 men and an actual talented general instead of David Petraeus, the great American fraud? And Danny said, nope, it would still be a fool's errand. And that's why my book on Afghanistan is called that. It's because that's what Danny Davis said back in 2012 and 2013. We should not be doing this. And people should go, you can read about it in my book, but you can also read his article that he wrote for the Armed Forces Journal and read all the great journalism about his heroic exploits there. I mean, this is a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army breaking ranks to go public and tell the truth and call the general in charge of the war a liar. Because why? Because he's loyal to his men. Those enlisted men are his men, and it's his job to protect them. So that's what he did.
Well, thank you. So anyway, sorry, I'm not comfortable with praise and whatnot.
Well, tough. You're a tough guy. I know you can take it.
I'll deal with it. I will.